Hello, Charlie TCG here, and welcome back to Looking Ahead, the series where I break down the meta, what's happening over Japan, and how will it impact our one. Today, we're breaking down the results from the Heavenly Kings tournament that happened in Japan, where 8 of the best players competed to be the top 4 representatives of the Pokemon Company in Japan. Plus, a ton of new cards got revealed. All the Evolution EXs without are any of them going to actually impact the meta at all? Plus, look at the meta share breakdown, the top 16 results from the City League Championships, and kind of see exactly how this impact, because we get surging sparks in just a few days' time, which I'm really excited about it, and will the meta actually shake up? So without further ado, let's jump right into the brand new cards got revealed. So all of the evolutions have kind of come around with this new Stellar Terra card, and they're kind of okay. Leafeon X is pretty decent, 60 times amount of energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon. This could be really good against some decks like Raging Bolt or stuff like that, which really relies on having a ton of energy in play, but honestly, being this very situational against the opponent, it might not be as strong. The other attack doing 230 damage and heal 100 damage from each of your bench Pokemon is pretty powerful. Now, another thing to mention with all of these cards, we do have the likes of Glass Trumpet, EV, EX, as well as also the regular EV, which can evolve on your first turn or the turn it's put in play if it's in the active spot. So there are some sort of things to think about this, but honestly, I don't see this evolution Leafeon actually that powerful. The Pure EX, I actually quite like. This attack does 60 times to each of your opponent's Pokemon EX. This attack is affected by weakness or resistance. This, I think, is quite nice. This is 60 snipe when everything is really strong, and 280 damage is still a really good sort of end game to attack. This is the same one that was happening on Jolteon, as well as also Flareon, which we talked about a few weeks ago. Glaceon has 110 damage and does 30 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. That's not too bad, and the first and the second attack knocks out one of your opponent's Pokemon that has exactly 6 damage counters on this. This is basically you need to use like a Dusclops plus the likes of Hawlucha, which again is very situational. I don't really see how you're going to get exactly 6 damage counters. If it was 5, that's perfect, but having 6, you need the likes of Regidrago or anything the likes of the Dragapult to actually make this deck as effective. Jolteon does 60 damage and discard up to 2 basic energies from your bench Pokemon, and attack does 90 more damage for each card you discard. So effectively do another additional 180 damage. They have to be on the bench. And again, you can power up from the likes of Tiamat's Ogerpon. So I actually do think this Jolteon could see some synergy, especially it has free retreat, and they also have some really good lightning support as well. Rest of cards we see is this Espeon, and this has had quite a lot of talking about it. One, the first attack does 160 damage and discards a random card from your opponent's hand. If we have the likes of a unfair sample, stuff like that, to make sure your opponent actually has exactly 2 cards, it can make it a little bit more devastating. But the second effect is exactly why I think it's stronger. De-evolve each of your opponent's evolved Pokemon in play and shuffle the highest stage of their evolution into your opponent's deck. This, I think, is so much stronger than likes of TM Devolution. With that one, they go straight into the hand, but you can actually remove it exactly from play, which I think is so much stronger. If you have given your opponent the likes of their Charizards, their Dragapults, or even the Pidgeots to actually use in the next turn, actually force them to draw into this one, effectively without even taking a knockout as well, could be absolutely devastating for the opponent. Umbreon EX, again, is similar to likes of Espeon, does 106 damage, and the opponent's active Pokemon is now confused. But the second effect is really interesting. Discard your energy attached to this Pokemon, take a prize card. Now, we have multiple ways to actually kind of make this work out. Like I mentioned before, we have the Glass Trumpet. You can either have the energy, the Happy Switch Blissey EX to move around your energies, which I think is still pretty strong. And also, if you go that way, but you also have a chance to take additional prize cards if you take this. The only trade-off is you only take 1 prize card, which theoretically, this is okay overall, but there are so many stronger sort of attacks as well that actually can manipulate the prize trade with likes of Togekiss and Dusknoir to actually take additional prize cards. Now, a new ace-spec did get revealed, which is Max Rod, which is a super huge Super Rod. Put 5 of any combination of Pokemon and basic energies from a discard pile into your hand, which is absolutely insane. The thing about going straight into the hand is so strong. Might just gain all of your Dusclopses, potentially even the energy you need to attack, or even like any of your Dusknoirs. It is absolutely incredible, and generally could see quite a lot of play overall, especially as a really good recovery card. They also have a new supporter card, which lets you draw 4 cards. Insane. I think drawing 4 in a Pokemon game, as you mentioned before, is absolutely one of the best sort of draw factors as well. But there's a caveat. At the end of your turn, if you have 5 or more cards in your hand, discard your hand. So you have a brilliant trade-off by drawing loads of cards, but you have to have pretty much 4 or less cards in your hand to actually make sure this is a really worthwhile supporter. So overall, it's kind of fine. So I'd really like some of these new cards, and obviously we're going to get this in Japan in December time, and it got officially revealed a few days ago that we're going to get it in January time. So I wonder if this will actually really impact the meta, or is this going to be a ton of really cool reprints and very pretty cards. Now I want to break down the top 16 sort of results that are happening over in the City League Championships, see exactly how the meta is really starting to shake up. We can see here it's actually changed quite a bit. The top two haven't really changed the same with having the Raging Bolt as well as Charizard. These have always been up there at the top sort of placement. But when the huge surprise, the likes of the resurgence of Regitrago and Gardevoir numbers increasing. Dragapult is always tearing up at that like 10%, but the number has really started to dwindle. It's gone down to 6.4%. This could be the reason about why I think like Regidrago is really good into Dragapult because there's a lot of HP, get a big one-hit KOs. Charizard as well can have really damage and detriment against the likes of the Dragapults as well. And also Gardevoir is such a strong sort of contender into all of these style decks. Be a single price archetype which really relies on like doing these huge amount of damage output. It's also some of the TM Devolution plays which can really go nicely into the likes of Charizard and Dragapult. That's why I think these decks really sort of increase. Lugia again is still doing incredibly good numbers, being at 4.3%, but it's also just Roy Moon being 5%, but Ancient Box being 4.6%. As I mentioned before last week, I love Ancient Box right now. I think it's so powerful. Likes of Crydon's really entered into the fray of the archetype. Doing 180 damage straight away after you've used the Ancient attack is really good. We also had some really good control archetypes as well. Iron Thorns being at 4.3% and Snorlax being at 3.5%. We have talked about in extensive detail that there aren't really that many switching outs. People are still playing at least one or two switching cards, but not playing the likes of the pennies or a ton of switching cards as well. That's where I think the likes of Snorlax and Iron Force could be really detrimental against the play. There's also Golden Golden is doing an absolutely incredible time right now, being 5%. I already talked about how powerful Golden is against a brand new sort of gimmickle. It also can really utilize the new sort of A-Spec as well. So there's some of the cards as well. If you're kind of looking at some of these strongest archetypes, which get better because of Surging Sparks, I think likes of Ancient Bolt, Ancient Box, and Golden are definitely up there, one of the best of contenders right now. Lugia, I think, is just really well placed in the metagame in the Surging Sparks format, as we aren't really seeing that much Lightning deck really do as strong. Yes, we've had some Miraidon archetypes, and Iron Force is probably the best utilizer for this one. But yeah, overall, not really as impactful. Charizard does get the brilliant sort of Precious Cargo carrier, which is really powerful to power up your entire bench. And Gardevoir as well can be just really, again, like Lugia, didn't really gain too many good cards, but I think it's really well placed in the metagame. Now I want to break down the best sort of the decks from the Heavenly Kings tournament. And it was held over yesterday over in Japan, where 8 of the top best players in Japan competed to be the full representation for like the Pokemon Company Japan in their trading card scene. And we saw quite an interesting ones. The decks that end up winning, we got 2 Raging Bolts, 1 Archaludon, which again is really fun to see. It's good to see a brand new archetype kind of like come into the fray, played by Daichi, which is honestly one of the best players in Japan, and Charizard played by Ryota, which I again really like to see it. We've seen some really good sort of players right there. And obviously the losing decks, we had the Regidrago, a Gardevoir, Miraidon deck, which focused on having Pikachu and Clove. So we definitely can see a little bit of different ones. More of the winning archetypes, I would say, are played by much more of a streamlined, sort of a very powerful archetypes, obviously 2 of the strongest decks right now in Japan, as well as also in Archaludon, which is really fun. As we know, Daichi is always known to play in these sort of off the meta, sort of interesting sort of picks. So it's really nice to see he actually got rewarded by playing his Archaludon. Losing archetypes were definitely a bit interesting. I liked seeing Clove, but sadly didn't really go all the way. And Miraidon actually utilizing that brand new Pikachu to have a much larger bench side, potentially could use that as an attacking option, as well as having a 1 retreat cost, which is much stronger than like the Mewtwo. So you can still extend your bench side, but not really having like a limitation. But Gardevoir and Regidrago, again, I really enjoy. Now, we are going to break down now the top 4 sort of the best sort of archetypes from this deck, the top 8 sort of lists, which I'm really excited about. Fortunately, the losing decks haven't actually been posted as of right now on Twitter, but once they get posted, hopefully we can talk about it next week. So without further ado, let's break down this Archaludon from Daichi, and oh boy, this is a really interesting pick as well. What's so good about it is you really do focus on having your Archaludon as a main attacker. 220 damage is absolutely an incredible amount of damage as well, especially with 300 HP. Team up from lots of switching cards as well as also having the likes of the Professor Churus scenario is incredibly strong just to pick it up and then reutilize its ability. I also really love some of the strong abilities it can use, but having the 151 Starmie to place additional damage counters is a really interesting sort of pick to do additional more damage from this deck. Also like having the Pokemon capture as well, flipping a coin, potentially getting additional gusting effect, makes it really strong, especially team out with more bosses orders and likes of the Iron Bundle. Having a ton of gusting effect as well, make sure some of these low HP Pokemon or potentially much for support Pokemon as well, you can really go around and kind of create the knockouts that way. Of course, we are playing the Relicanth, so you can actually use Duraludon's other secondary attack. Now, what I really think is interesting is the A-Spec. The A-Spec here is one that removes all tool cards as well as also special energies and stadium cards. Now this can remove some sort of really sort of key sort of cards as well, but also removes like some bravery charms from the likes of the Raging Box. So actually Starmie can actually get the big 1-hit KO on this one, which I think is really powerful. It removes any of these sort of scary sort of mist energies, or potentially likes of any sort of damage reduction energies, which I think is very, very strong. But also removes any sort of support the stadium cards. We can actually potentially play 2 Pokestops, which I really like. The rest of the deck isn't really too different, but I really like how unique this deck really is. I'm really excited to see how this is really going to impact the Surging Sparks format as we get this on Friday. Then we also get the new Charizard, and again, there isn't too much different about the Charizard. We do play this new Brilliant Carrier, which I again absolutely love. I think it's the best way to play Charizard. I made a really good point about it last week. It's a way to, yes, you are reducing your Nest Ball and the Buddy Buddy Puffin, but instead of using the Nest Ball to get Forest Hill Stone to get the Buddy Buddy Puffin and then use your responsibility, you can get Nest Ball to get other Pokemon or potentially just get the brand new Ace Spec, fill up your board state, still have the Rotom at the end of a turn, still have multiple Pidgeys or potentially even Charmander as well. They attacking very early on, which I think is a must in this deck. Another interesting thing, it does play 6 Fire Energies. It's been a while since Charizard had 6 Fire Energies. Normally we've used to like some 5 Energies and then having a Mist Energy or a double turbo. Now this one they did opt to play like some Mist Energy, again protecting them from any Regidrago players, i.e. protecting their Charmanders on Pidgeys from the 6 damage counters from Dragon Ball, or potentially Roaring Moons, but they actually aren't going to get this big one-hit KO. Again, they are playing the likes of the Temple of Sinnoh, which I think is always a in and out of Charizard list. We always see like Clap Stadium to remove any of your liability, like Rotom and Lumineon in the late game. But I also think Temple of Sinnoh is really, really strong. Shutting down, yes, you are shutting down your own Mist Energy, but shutting down Lugia's like Legacy Energy or stuff like that. So you can actually take that additional prize card and not have that limitation. I really still think Charizard is in such a good place in the Sparking Surge format, and we're generally going to see exactly how this will really impact us when we get this set on Friday. And now let's look at 2 Raging Bolt decks, and honestly, both of them are still very, very similar. And what I like about Raging Bolt is it's just so fast and so aggressive. Again, this deck really completely open from Ogerpon as well. Now we are playing for the single prize attacking option is that Sliver Ring. Do 120 damage, it's still really strong. Yes, the Sandy Shock lets you do that 90 damage and you can do that much earlier. Or you have the new Charizard which is 180 damage, but you have to attack with Raging Bolt beforehand. This one here, we can see there isn't anything too unique. I like having the Briar in this list, so make sure that Ogerpon becomes a really good attacking option in the late game. We're still seeing the Superior Engine Retrieval, which I always feel like is kind of being very much cut from most Raging Bolt lists. We're mainly seeing more of the copies of the Night Stretcher and his regular Energy Retrieval. Energy count, I feel like there's one more sort of Grass Engine we're normally seeing. And the rest of the cards, still seeing some Switch cards, some Trekking Shoes, which I absolutely love, which draw through the deck much quicker, and Pokegear as well, finding more outs to your starters. And then last deck as well, we can see here, again, not too dissimilar whatsoever. This has got more of a clean cut sort of build as well. As you can see here, they aren't playing any of the likes of the Briar or Ionos, we're more on the draw factor, no Trekking Shoes. Oh, there are some Trekking Shoes there. But again, this is very much a straight to the point sort of Raging Bolt. A little bit different from this one here, where this one's a little bit more tech cards as well. This one here, I still think is very consistent. We can see here that obviously Raging Bolt was the only deck which has had multiple copies of what they decided to choose from, and both of them actually made it into it and got these players to be part of the Heavenly Kings for Japan for the next year. So again, that's really saying lots of things. Raging Bolt really is the best deck right now. So that's really my question of looking ahead. Is Raging Bolt just too strong? It's constantly being in the top 16 meta share as the best, most played deck. The deck which had the most replacements right now is constantly in our format, being one of the most popular archetypes right now. It's just so fast, so strong. Building Thunder 70 times the amount of energy you discard is just absolutely incredible. So it's really, because of this deck is so strong, the off-meta deck's just really not the cut anymore. Yes, I know Horizon is still basically a meta-styled archetype, but using Pikachu, I don't think it's going to be as strong right now. I think because of the likes of Raging Bolt, it is that powerful. And will this set really impact the meta that much? As we've seen this, we are seeing like Archaludon do well. We saw like some Horizon with Pikachu kind of going there. Charizard playing the new Precious Carriers. We are seeing some new cards, but it hasn't shaken up the meta too much. Not like when Terapagos was added, which was kind of changed the meta game a little bit, but really we focus more about how strong likes of Dusknoir really is as an archetype. We haven't seen the meta game really change as much. So that's definitely something which I'm excited to see as once we get hold of Surging Sparks and how our meta really impact in Japan, and kind of see exactly how this will really change moving forward. So, hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I know it's a little bit shorter, but there was quite a bit of news as well. I wanted to talk a bit more about the Heavenly King sort of event. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to like and subscribe. I'm going back in a couple of days' time breaking down my top rogue archetypes as well as also competitive picks just before the set gets released on Friday. So, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the day. My name is TCG, and I will see you guys later. Bye for now.